You are listening to episode 93 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name's John. I'm joined by Ryan.
Hey everybody, here at the Game Deflators Podcast, we like to talk about games we've recently picked up, games we're currently playing, and we howl at the moon in today's Inflation Deflation Challenge.
So this week we played a little bit of Wolfchild on the Sega Genesis. Ryan, I know the reviews are not the best on this game historically, but I had a good bit of fun.
You know, it was worth the time that we put into it, and it was a fun time.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I always want to go back and play a lot of these games like Journey of Silius. We played that last week, so if you didn't catch that episode, The Game Tenets, go ahead and check that out. That was a lot of fun with them. Listen at our top 5 platformers. And, of course, we went into another platformer this week. And, you know, looking at this game, it's one that I would like to revisit. Down the road. It's super short. It's like 5 levels, and we got through, I think, the first 2.5 or so, and that was just kind of a blind play. Just like, let's play this and let's do our episode.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of fun, man.
It was a good time. It's always good to realize that we can play fun and good games for the Inflation Deflation Challenge instead of just kind of getting mired up in the muck with some not so great games.
Yeah, there's quite a few that I can name that we've done in the past. Mrs. Spider's Tea Party being one of those. Worst experience ever. We did beat it though.
We did.
We never did put the just beat it hashtag though. I don't think.
I don't think we were doing that back then.
No, and I don't think we should put that one.
We'll leave that out.
Yeah. Okay. So you know, as we always talk about on the Game Deflators Podcast, we like to talk about games we've recently picked up and games we're currently playing.
They heard me say that, John.
Yeah. So I know they heard you say that, Ryan. But you can hear other episodes where we talked about this. You know, it's Spotify, Podcast Addict, Apple Podcast. Ryan, we're on social media.
You can find us online at Instagram and Facebook at The Game Deflators. You can find us on Twitter at Game Deflators. They don't like the.
Yeah, and YouTube, we got some stuff on there. And, of course, thegamedeflators.com.
Thegamedeflators.com.
Yep. So let's go ahead and start for recent pickups. Ryan, I see a note that says nada, so I'm assuming nada.
Yeah, didn't pick anything up this week.
You maybe picked up a controller, I see. Okay.
I did play some stuff.
Okay, cool. So we got that. So this week I've got it coming in the mail. I've got Tenchu Fatal Shadows on the PS2. I picked that up, and I actually got that pretty low. It's normally like, I'd say $20 for that one. And I picked it up for, I don't know, roughly $13 on eBay. It was just a quick, you know, I put in the bid, and the bid happened to end at like 2 a.m. or something. So in those instances, it's like, all right, let me set a bid of $15, see where it goes. I mean, nobody's bidding at 5 o'clock in the morning, 2 a.m. So whoever set it up was not smart about it.
Yeah.
So I ended up picking that up pretty cheap. And then I got Wonder Boy on Switch. So that game...
Wonder Boy in Monster World or whatever?
No, yeah, I think it's the Dragon Trap or something. I forget the exact name.
It's like a remake of like a really old good game.
Yeah, I think it was a Sega Master System, I want to say. So yeah, I got the Wonder Boy game on Switch. Main reason I got that is I missed out on Monster Boy, which is now like a ridiculous price point. And I'd wanted that one. I didn't pick it up when I should have. So now it's like sitting at $100. So God knows if I'll find that any cheaper. And Wonder Boy just is one of those games that I kind of figured at the going rate right now, it's like $25 new or used for the most part. But I'm starting to see a lot of listings hitting like $40. So it's one of those things that if it's discontinued and I didn't pick it up now, and then down the road, I'm like, oh, I want to pick it up, and it's sitting at like $60, I'm going to say, well, I could have saved, you know, $25, you know, several months ago if I would have bought it then. So I picked that one up. And yeah, so that comes in on, I think, Tuesday. And I think minus missing a case in a PSP game, I think I have all the Tenchu games now.
Nice.
So that's not a bad deal. It's pretty good stuff.
Filling out another checkbox?
Yeah, I mean, I've always wanted to play the Tenchu games. I played Wrath of Heaven years ago, and I never really did get too far in it, but it was a game that I did enjoy playing the bit that I did. So having those memories and now playing Ghost of Tsushima still, it's like, yeah, I've got to pick these up, you know, because I do anticipate those going up down the road, and just having them is like, all right, cool. If I want to play them, I can play them. Mm-hmm. I'll jump into my currently playing, and then you can get into yours. So, Shadow of Memories, I think I had mentioned on the last podcast episode, my wife and I were looking for a new game to play. So really, Shadow of Memories is like, I don't know, like a $10 game, I think, at most. And you pretty much play as this character, and I'm terrible with names, so don't, question me on these things, but
Question him vigorously.
Question me on everything. So, yeah, you play as this one character who gets murdered, and you have to try and figure out how to avoid getting murdered. And so you end up in this like weird ass room with a homunculus, I think is what it's called. Homunculus, that's what it is. And so he's like, oh, or she is like, oh, I can, help you survive. I can help you avoid your death. And he's like, how do I do this? And you get like this time traveling watch type of thing that has like, it gets beads of power where you can use it X amount of times. And you pretty much are traveling to various times to try and avoid your death. So it's one scenario, you get stabbed in the back. And it's like, how the hell did that happen? So you travel back, and you have like 7 seconds to quickly travel. You travel back to like 1592 or something in literally the same town just set 500 something years before. And you have to find like a metal plate to bring back with you to put on your back. And when you get stabbed in the back, the metal plate blocks it, right? So it's like just this whole thing of...
I thought you were like, I went back 500 years and I killed that dude's grandpa.
Oh, that would have been much better. No, so and then they have like warnings of like butterfly effect and stuff too. So like, oh, well, certain things I can't do. So like he meets one of his ancestors and he tells him, oh, yeah, I think you're one of my ancestors. I'm like, you don't do this. This is time travel 101, dude. You don't tell somebody you're an ancestor. He's like, it's probably best to forget that. You're telling somebody in like 1542 or something, or 1592, just forget that I'm a time traveler from a future period 400 something years from ago or 500 years from now. They're not going to forget that like at all. And so it's really cool. Like everything's kind of piecing together. It's more narrative driven. So there are some aspects of gameplay, but for the most part, it's like, okay, go to X place and talk to this guy. Okay, cool. You talk to him. All right, time travel here. Okay, you time traveled there. You got all that done. Here's a cutscene for like 20 minutes. Like that's what it is. And it's actually like a nice breath of fresh air from what I've been playing gameplay wise. Like I've been deep in platformers and, slicing off people's heads in Tsushima and all these other crazy things like Sekiro. So having a game where I can just kind of go and enjoy the narrative component is kind of nice.
Yeah.
So I'm enjoying it so far. We're probably 3.5, 4 hours in on it, and we maybe get 2 more hours at most. And it's really shaping up nicely. And then Ghost of Tsushima, I didn't have a whole lot of time to play this week. Just super busy. But the time that I did play, I am almost done with Act 2. I decided to progress a little further with the main story. Main reason being is once you finish the main story, it opens up the Mongol territories, which when you defeat or end up liberating a city or town or village, it opens up like the map, and it just shows a whole huge area where it has the question marks and everything else.
So you're trying to just get access to more.
Yeah, so I figure defeat the second chapter, second act, open up a whole bunch of Mongol territories like it did in 1. Then after beating those Mongols, have it open to all the minor stuff like the fox dens and the different shrines and all of that type of stuff and the haikus. So once I do that part, then I can expand out to the other things. I don't have to like blindly search. Like it's fun, don't get me wrong, but I'm spending a lot of time on this game and I want to kind of, I want to beat it. Like it's good.
I'm excited for you to beat it so that I can play it.
Dude, it's so good. Like the battle right now of trying to find battle the Khan and going into the end of Act 2 is just phenomenal. And now that I told you I had the ghost stance, and the ghost stance is pretty much when you hit like X amount of kills without taking any damage, it boosts up a ghost meter. And then you hit both.
You go like Spartan Rage mode.
It's ridiculous, man. Like you hit the L3 and R3 and just like this red samurai like color comes up and you're just like fast mode, slicing slow-mo. It just picks up. You go to the next guy. Like I think I killed like 4 people in that one. And it was super cool. But
does it just like last until you get hurt?
No, well, it lasts until you get hurt or until it ends, until like ghost meter ends. So there's that. But when you first get it, I'm not going to say the enemy and where because you do want to play it. But when you eventually get the ghost stance, the way it works is you're battling this guy, and when you're done, you just straight up slice his flipping head off.
Oh, really?
And when you do that, you hold it up and then you just go full on ghost rage mode and just start going ballistic. I'm like, this is amazing. So I'm liking it. It's a lot of fun. And I can't wait to beat it, but it's such a phenomenal game. I think right now it's got this generation's highest Metacritic user score out of all games that have been released. So totally worth it, and I highly recommend picking it up. So that's my currently playing. Ryan, what are you currently playing?
So I was ready to give up on Dark Souls 3, and I went back. And I don't know, I was just, like I said, I felt like I had gotten enough of the mechanics to really get it out of my system, and then I was just kind of like, maybe I should go back and give it another try. And I think I was just not wanting to have to do what Dark Souls is going to make you do, and that's do some grinding. Because I started off with my pyromancy build, and I was going and just dumping my points into, you know, my sorcery and my, what is it, prayer? Or I don't remember what the stat's called, but like, so that I could bump up my attack power with my pyromancies. But I was just dying easier than I wanted to, and, you know, my flasks weren't really doing me as much good as they could have, just because my health pool wasn't as big. Like, so I ground out about like 5 more levels of vigor, and I feel a lot stronger now. And I was also reading a guide, and it was saying that, yes, all the stuff I did in Farron was great, but to do all that, stop once you get to the Undead Legion, and then go do the whole Cathedral of the Deep stuff instead, and then go back to the Legion afterwards. And I was like, okay, because I just, like, the swamp didn't feel like a great place to grind, because it's just like poison everywhere, and it's just kind of annoying, and you move slow through the swamp.
There's I forget the exact item that you need, but yeah, you have to have like several items that reduce poison, and then you can just run through the swamp. But
Yeah.
even so, it's still a pain in the ass.
Yeah, and it's not that bad, like, really, but the going to the cathedral and seeing new places made me still want to keep pushing through, just because, like, it is really great to look at. Like, even if I've seen a bunch of this game on YouTube and stuff, and I know what a bunch of stuff is, like, it doesn't make it less fun to do. And, you know, those frustrations of Dark Souls, I kind of like, you know, like, it does suck having, like, ground up 14k souls, and then you die, and then it's like, oh, okay, well, at least I don't have to go that far to get them, and then you just get, like, pushed into a corner by somebody and wrecked. Right now I'm trying to find, I ran into Onion Guy, who was not Onion Guy, he was that other dude in disguise, and he dropped that bridge, so I'm trying to find the lever to raise up that bridge so I can go get whatever the treasure is. And then, I don't know, those giants, I thought those giants were going to be scary, but it was like, you just basically stood next to their feet and just cut their feet up, and they didn't really do anything, so that was a little bit of a disappointment. I slew that crystal witch in like 2.5 tries.
And there's some easy bosses in that game for sure.
It's not as challenging as Sekiro, and I'm so happy about that, because Sekiro was just like brutal for me to keep trying to do over and over, and it's like I don't feel like my resolve is destroyed by playing Dark Souls. I just kind of felt like I thought I was bored of it, and I actually wasn't. And then I besides that, I watched all of The Sopranos this last week.
What? That's so random, dude. Like, why would you watch all The Sopranos?
I mean, I guess it was 2 weeks because I wasn't here last week.
That's still crazy.
I don't know. I got HBO through Prime, and, you know, there's so many good shows out there now.
Wait, HBO? Oh, you pay for it.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then there's, like, so many good old shows, and I was like, I've got this HBO thing, and it's like, I haven't watched anything since, like, the last season of Westworld, or the second season of Westworld, maybe? I don't even remember, or Watchmen. I watched that. That was good.
Well, we just went through on the PS4. We're like, oh, let's check out some movies on HBO Go, and they discontinued it because they wanted to put everything in HBO Max.
Yeah, so that's weird. I haven't looked into that, but I think you're supposed to have access to it if you have like other HBO stuff.
Yeah, you're supposed to. So it's a family account, so I gotta contact family member and be like, hey, what's the password on this, or have you set up an account on Max yet? But yeah, I was so disappointed. So we were watching some movies last night, my wife and I, and we checked out Homefront, which is a Jason Statham movie where he like goes in a small town in Louisiana and just like kills and
does his thing.
Yeah, does his thing, and it's actually really
I like
good.
to drive very fast.
Very fast. Yeah, it was really good. And then we ended up watching Blitz right after that, which is actually pretty cool too. We just kind of went on a random Jason Statham binge watch. Okay, so before we get into our articles, and I'll cover them here on what we're going to be discussing. So we are going to be talking about Fortnite and its makers, Epic, suing Apple and Google after it was pulled from mobile app stores. And then we are going to get into, after their major flop of Crucible, Amazon has made another jump into the video game foray. We then have some news about Zelda trademarks being put in place for the 35th anniversary. And the last one is Mario's nipples are missing. Where are they? Okay.
Oh my god. Not only is Mario missing,
But his
Mario's
nipples
nipples are missing.
Dude, that was just on a whim right there. I was like, all
The
right,
historical
here we
adventure to recover
go. Mario's nipples.
Nipples.
Oh, man. Okay, so we'll talk about Mario's nipples a little later here. All right, so first thing, Ryan, let's do a little trivia here. I figure maybe we can, once a week, we'll see how this goes. And, if it sucks today, then we won't do it ever again. But we'll see. We'll see. And if you're listening, of course, don't skip along. Go ahead and try and answer before Ryan does. So,
Oh, you will. I'm
yeah,
terrible
you probably
at
will.
trivia.
I don't know, man. It's a pretty easy one. So this video game, Hero, was first featured in a platformer set in a construction site.
Donkey Kong.
Son of a bitch. You actually got it, yeah. See, it wasn't that hard.
I mean, or Mario.
Well,
Jumpman.
I was hoping the construction site was a dead giveaway, but
Yeah.
I couldn't be like so oblivious. I was like, platformer.
You're wearing a Donkey Kong shirt, too.
Damn it, I am. And there's Donkey Kong posters all around. I didn't
The
even
answer
think
is
about that.
always D for Donkey Kong.
I did not even consider this shirt. Okay, well, that went quick. So join us.
Thanks for joining us for this
join us-
round of trivia.
Join us for future trivia questions. You know what? I'm going to come back with this next week. I'm going to have a much harder trivia question for you. Much harder.
Some just obscure game.
What's so sad is I picked Donkey Kong for the first one. It's like, there's Donkey Kong posters there. I'm wearing a Donkey Kong shirt. There's Donkey Kong posters there. And I already talked to you about my SNES Donkey Kong set 30 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So fresh in your mind. All right, let's get into the first article, man. So this one is Fortnite makers sue Apple and Google after it's pulled from the mobile app stores. And that is by AFP of thejournal.ie.
Yeah, it was, I don't know. I tried to give the best accreditation I could, but at the bottom of the page, it just says AFP and it has a logo. And I clicked on that to see if I could find out more about them, and it just pulled up their related articles that have been posted there. So I don't know what AFP is, but they did this. So if anybody hasn't heard, this is kind of crazy. Fortnite tried to bypass the Apple...
Epic tried to bypass.
Well, but Fortnite as the application tried to bypass the Apple paywall of buying your V-Bucks through like iOS store, and I guess you could get a discount if you bought them directly through
Through Epic.
Store or through the application itself. I'm not exactly sure where the other storefront was, but it was going to get away from that 30% take. And I know that I've heard before, Kriparian, he's a big YouTuber, streamer. He's a Hearthstone guy. Yeah. And I've always seen him throw out ads for when you can go on Amazon and get deals to buy more like Hearthstone coins or whatever at a cheaper rate, usually like right before an expansion set is about to come out. So I think that kind of is doing the same thing here. So I don't understand like how this has never been done before or how this has never been pulled. But basically, when they did this, iOS was like, violation of terms and service. Get off our platform. And then a few hours later, Google was like, yes, we're going to follow suit and tell you the same thing. But the bigger difference here is that on the Google platform, and I had to look this up somewhere else, you're still able to get it through your Android device because you can just go and do a direct download from the web or the Samsung store or the... there's other like launchers and stores that you can get access to. Like it's not just the Google Play Store, but you can't get it through Google Play Store anymore. And you'll still be able to get updates. So this doesn't affect Android users as much. It's more of a slight inconvenience for them. But for iOS people, they're not going to get any future updates because those would have to come through the Apple Store. And all of this is swirling around at a time when, big companies have been going, to Congress and stuff and talking about like these antitrust laws and like all these different things involved with, their platform holdings and stuff. And also following last week's news, or I guess 2 weeks ago news.
Yeah, the Microsoft
with,
one as well.
xCloud and Stadia and stuff. With those things gone, it's, is there room in the future, if this goes Fortnite's way, for like the Epic Store to become an application that you can buy games through for your iOS device? Or like, is Epic looking into getting into some kind of cloud service, and they're using this moment to strike hard and open up that gateway down the road? I don't know. There's a lot of things that this could be, but don't believe any of the hype about, like Epic going to bat for us, or, Epic is this, heroic underdog fighting against the big man. Like, that's not what's happening here.
Isn't
It's one
Epic,
greedy
like,
company fighting another greedy company for their CEOs to make more money, because like no matter who wins here, it's not going to pay the devs anymore.
No, and isn't Epic like an $18 billion company or something?
I mean,
like
they're,
it's some
they're all
stupid
huge
amount.
companies. So it's just, the headlines would lead you to maybe believe one thing, but that's really not in our favor that this is being done.
Yeah, like Epic is not the little guy. Like, there's still a big guy here. And honestly, like, as much as I hate Apple, I hate Fortnite more. So, honestly, not to side with Apple, all the time on these things, but they have a right to that application saying what you can and can't do on it. And just because you don't want to have a 30% cut taken out on your thing, you don't get special treatment just because you're Epic. Like,
well, yeah, but there's this whole, growing up that needs to happen across the markets of like, and social media platforms are going to face this too. Like, are you like such a big platform that what you're doing here isn't really in the best interest of being self-contained? Like, I mean, if Microsoft had these rules a long time ago, we probably wouldn't be in exactly the same place we were now. And it kind of goes against iOS and their, outlook of, being creative and being open-minded and expansive and not being that big brother lockdown company.
But
even though that's exactly what they are.
Yeah, but nothing that they're doing is preventing creativity. If you're a small developer and you want to have your application on the iOS store, you are getting access to millions of people on there. And yeah, Apple's going to take a 30% cut. But think about it this way. If you and I wanted to make t-shirts and we don't have the printing materials to do that, and we wanted to go ahead and print through one of those services that makes the coasters and all that, like off the bat for your website, they take a 25% cut from the artwork. Like, they have nothing to do with it, but they have to make their money somehow, right? Not saying Apple isn't making any money, but 30% is more of a convenience charge and access to those members. Like, there's a lot that you get with that 30% cut. And while it sucks, there's small-time developers, there's small, applications out there, free applications that, are based off ad revenue that also are paying a 30% cut. Why? Because, you're Epic, you feel you should get some sort of discount is beyond me. So, honestly, like, they signed those terms of service years ago when they first got it on there, and now they have an issue with it because they want more money. Yeah, that's all it is.
Yeah, it's convenient timing. We'll see what happens with, xCloud and all that stuff and Stadia. Like, those platforms they're
not really
that
as
ready.
Reliable on that anyways.
Yeah. So in a few years, it'll definitely be, some of this stuff will be more ironed out. And I think this is going to be the first in a long line of this type of thing becoming more evident.
Well, this is just more of a strategic play, as you had mentioned. Epic is trying to hit Apple at a time where there's lots of antitrust stuff, being discussed right now. And I'm not going to get into details on that because it's beyond me, but
because we don't know.
Yeah, we definitely are not involved in all of that legal matter. But here's the deal: like, they're hitting them at a weak point, at this point in time. And they didn't have issue with it back then. They all of a sudden have issue with it now. And they did something that intentionally bypassed having to, they basically broke contract intentionally and tried to find a go around. That's what they did. And Apple caught them on it. And now it's like, well, we got to save face somehow. So we're going to bat for the little guy. No, like, come on. I seriously hope Apple wins this one out and Fortnite is not allowed on iOS, or they have to do a 30% cut moving forward. Now, I can't say a 30% cut is pretty flippin' high. So I think if you're like a smaller application, like they should tier it, right? So if you're bringing in X amount of revenue, you should have X amount of commission,
Well, they did say after 2 years, they could go down to 15%.
I think that was Google. I think Google was 15% after several years.
Oh, okay.
I don't think that was Apple. Yeah. So, let us know, on social media if you catch this article. We'll post it on our page and maybe a couple groups and whatnot. And just let us know your thoughts on it. Where do you side on this and what's your overall opinion? So, the next thing, talking about gigantic companies, after a flop, Amazon makes another foray into video games. This one is by Kellen Browning at New York Times. And the flop we're talking about is Crucible. So really in this article, what's being covered is Amazon has removed Crucible. You can't download it anymore. They only had like 10,000 players at their peak with only like 361 players at a time playing this game. Super quick. It's kind of unheard of in a sense to just remove a game like that.
That was just like, June?
Yeah, like we just talked about this like several months ago. Like it was coming out. So like they quickly removed this thing. They kind of cut their losses and they're like, we're done. But they put in a ton of money and a ton of time into developing this. So really what it's talking about is, how that was removed and how now they've decided because of that acquisition of Twitch, they're now doing Prime Gaming. So they're kind of rebranding that whole approach. They feel that their brand of Prime is going to hold up just as well as Twitch. And we'll see how that goes. I mean, we've been using Twitch for our stuff.
Yeah.
We watch Critical Role on Twitch.
I watch a lot of stuff on Twitch, and I have a Prime account, but it's my wife's Prime account, so I don't have I don't use the free Twitch Prime sub every month from that, which is like a benefit. And I don't think they said that that's going away, just that they're changing the name and expanding.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of a cool idea that it's like, oh, I have Amazon and I get like some cool extra in-game items for a few games and a few extra bonuses here and there on Twitch. Like, that's a fun thing. I can appreciate that. I don't have a problem with that.
And they also talk about like heavy discounts and such on gaming. So like Amazon's really kind of gearing up to where, the former online book retailer, the giant that it is now, is, I think in the long run is going to make it a little more affordable and add that competitive atmosphere to the digital gaming space. So when you have companies like, Sony and Nintendo charging full rate, like, games that are $60 still digitally on Nintendo and Sony for used copies that are sitting at, $15 at GameStop or even $20 new for a physical copy, they're charging extraordinary rates for, digital versions. I can see Amazon kind of coming into this and adding that bit of pressure of like, oh, well, Amazon's here now. They're offering these, 30% off a digital copy of X. We got to lower the price, whatever it may be. So, we'll see how it plays on the long run. But I think this is kind of exciting in a sense to have Amazon jumping in a little bit more into the gaming space.
I don't know. I think that what's going on here with them pulling Crucible, like if the game just wasn't there, and it just wasn't there. Like if they want to do some more post on it and, re-prop it up and try to put it out there. But I don't think it's going to be like the Overwatch killer or anything like that. So I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to Amazon Studios compete with Blizzard Studios. But I think Amazon is way more set up to compete with Activision Blizzard in the production sense, because they could easily just buy people that already know how to make great games and just not be as terrible at Activision at just like churning and burning until you dissolve the studio and it goes away. Like, they have the money that they could just foster teams and front money and be able to, elevate game creators. And I think they're going to be much more adept at that. Like, I understand that they would love to have like a giant, character-based game that they could own all the IP to and make all the money off of and just bankroll it until it's, the next major icon. But if this is their first attempt, it's going to be a while before they probably have a new game that's going to be at that level. And in the meantime, years are going to go by and everybody else is going to keep doing what they're doing and keep getting better, and it's going to make it even harder, to get in every year.
Hear me out here. What if Amazon bought Sega and released a new console?
I mean, that's the thing. What if Epic bought Sega and released a new console?
Well, then Sega would be dead forever.
like
Amazon,
there's
I think.
so many different. That's what I'm saying. There's so many different people out there that are offering up games that seems way more like the market that Amazon should be participating in rather than the studio market itself.
Yeah. Now, here's an interesting thing about Crucible too, because I want to say it was Grief Burrito. I was listening to an episode of theirs, but yeah, it was. And they had played Crucible, a little bit of it, if I recall. And I don't think it was really their cup of tea either. So it's not like it was a great game to begin with. And, and I would trust those guys in what they like, to kind of review a game. And so one of the things that kind of got the gears churning there was it makes me feel like when we first heard about Crucible and what they were doing and all the different things they were meshing together to make this game, they kind of use that same logarithm like Amazon and Netflix have used in the past, where we're going to make a great new TV show and we're going to survey people to see what they like, and then we're going to mesh it into one thing.
Just produced to death.
Yeah, produced to death, but make it all these things that people love. So, it has to have action, it has to have this, it has to have drugs, it has to have guns and violence, whatever it may be. Those are all things that they've done to make great shows, and it makes me wonder if they kind of did the same approach for this game. In fact, I think they did. Well, to say, we're going to mesh all these different game types to make one awesome game, but take out the fact that it has to be playable, it has to actually be good. People have to be actively engaged in it. You have to make updates all the time.
You got to have that heart for a game like that too, where it's you feel the connection to those characters, and it's it's hard to do that when they're just so generic to be mass appeal that it kind of doesn't work anymore because you tried to think too hard about it. You lost the core.
Well, and is this kind of the approach that these conglomerates are going to take from now on? We're just going to, we'll put down the millions or whatever to a game, and hopefully we become the next Fortnite, or hopefully we become the next, Call of Duty Warzone, or whatever it may be. Are we going to see more of these just kind of one and done games like you do one and done TV seasons? Mm-hmm. Well, that didn't perform so well, even though it might have been great. It didn't get the viewership we wanted, so it's done. We're canceling it. Are we going to start seeing that with more of these games moving forward as companies like Amazon and Google start developing these things?
Yeah. So, well, and it's important to note that maybe they just put this game out too early. And I know we don't have an article about it, but I'll just tie it in here real quick. But Halo Infinite was delayed because, probably of the response to the presentation that they put out in the trailer. And people weren't happy with how it was looking and how it was shaping up. So they made that bold step to delay it. And we've talked many times on the show about, rushing these games out. It makes all the poor devs have to go into super crunch mode, which sucks hard for them. You get a worse product. You wind up having to go back and do a lot of that stuff in post and do day one patches and, all that stuff. And, you feel like you're suckering the people into buying something that's not done. So in this case, I don't know how many people, I don't even know if Crucible was a free game or not.
I don't know if it was free, but I had noted that it was 10,000 players.
Yeah,
at its
so
peak,
it's
so it's not like a lot of people were playing it.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't jump on board, and maybe if it had more time to bake in the oven before its initial release, you don't get a lot of great second attempt launches that are blow out of the water the success and just we fixed it, and everybody's yeah, you fixed it.
There's only so many No Man's Skies that you can have out there.
Exactly.
And I honestly can't see this coming back. I think this is dead. You can't come back from that. It was.
And how many people are asking that you go back and fix it? 360 people?
Yeah, nobody new can jump on anyway. So even if the bad publicity had people going, oh, well, let me go check out Crucible, you can't even download it now.
Yeah.
So it could be one thing of saying, hey, we're going to be ending this and support moving forward, but to just straight up remove it, from the store for download, that's just dumb. It doesn't hurt people to download the game. Mm-hmm. So it is what it is, man. But so definitely give your opinions on social media for that one. lot of stuff discussed on that particular article. All right, our next 2 articles are a little more fun. I don't know how much time we're going to spend on this Zelda article, but new Zelda trademarks indicate big 35th anniversary plans for next year. This one's by Nathan P. Gibson of Screen Rant. I don't think we've ever covered one of theirs, but Ryan, I'm honestly, when I look at this...
This is a bold prediction you have here, John.
It is, but it's a very logical prediction. So, for one thing, Nintendo has to do this. You have to. Your 35th anniversary is coming up. You have to trademark it. You got to put that stuff into play. Like, you don't just have like the 25th anniversary of Mario or 30th anniversary of Mario down the road and go, hey, you know what? We're not going to trademark it. We're not going to put in any patents or do anything for it.
Yeah.
We're just going to make it happen because we own it. It doesn't work like that. So they kind of have to do it. There's no choice there. Now, even if they do something or not, you got to do that. The other piece here that I'm thinking is pending the success of the Lego Mario sets, Lego Zelda next year.
That would be dope. People would get behind that, dude. I want a big Lego Deku Tree.
Dude, that'd be sick.
With the mouth that opens and stuff.
The only thing I'm not liking about these Lego sets is it's not like the small minis. Like it's Nintendo, stupid Nintendo size stuff. So that's the only thing I don't like. I understand why they did it, but I would really like a straight up Zelda set with like minis.
Yeah.
Not this playable stuff.
Yeah.
And that would be super crazy, dude. Like, that'd be awesome. Like, can you imagine, how they have the NES set that I bought, but having that as Majora's Mask?
Dude, I would love to have, like, a really dope Lego map of Hyrule.
Dude, that would be awesome.
Like, you could, like, hang on a wall.
Yeah, and it's just, like, kind of like that, God, man, I have so much Lego stuff, I never realized it.
And you could, like, 3D texture it with, like, some of those small blocks. Like, I love when they use, like, the small blocks in, like, a minimalist kind of way. Like, when you get, like, the Christmas, advent calendar, and it's like, oh, it kind of looks like that thing it's supposed to look like, because it's the minimal, amount that you can use to do that.
I kind of want to buy a bunch of Lego bricks now and make a 3D version of Hyrule. Like, just...
Right?
Map it out and put it in a nice box.
Anyways, that's John's idea.
That's my idea on this.
In the actual article, they're talking about how, for this year, there was a bunch of trademark stuff for Mario, and people have been anticipating some, like, Mario collection coming out that would maybe be, Mario 64 Sunshine and Galaxy remastered out for Switch or something, and like other classic Mario games coming out on the digital, like SNES or NES or whatever. But we haven't seen anything confirming that or anything about that. Like, there's still time for another Nintendo Direct to come out and be like, hey, look at all this cool Mario stuff that we totally didn't, nobody called. But until that happens, I'm not so convinced that the idea of next year getting a bunch of Zelda remasters packaged together is actually going to come. And I'm not exactly sure that that's super, super needed. Like, we've gotten so many remakes of old Zelda games already. Like, do you really need Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask on another platform? Like, those DS version, the 3DS remakes aren't that old. And like, how much better are they really going to look?
Well,
there's plenty of ways to play all those titles still. I would rather see Breath of the Wild 2.
Yeah, I would too. I mean, I still need to play the first one, but the second one, the little trailer we got looked pretty swanky.
There's been Wind Waker remakes already.
Here's the thing, man. Mario and Zelda print money. Yeah. Like, that's just how it is. So you could have...
But you haven't had re-releases of all those other Mario games. Like, there hasn't been a re-release of Galaxy or Mario Sunshine.
There was the All-Stars pack. I mean, and you have had re-releases of some games. So, Mario 64 was re-released on the DS years ago.
Yeah, as a platformer, but that's like 13 years old now.
Yeah, I know. But what I'm saying is, they have done, just similar to Zelda, they've done releases over time. Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't get Mario Sunshine remastered and all of that, and I would kind of welcome it at this point, just given where GameCube prices are, to have some of these games remastered. But, Ocarina of Time only had a 3DS version, Majora's Mask, I think it had a GameCube version as well, if I recall. So, yeah, they've remade them in the past, but putting those older games into that next level, HD, on the Switch... and the portability component tied with the at-home component. And if you had, say, another like master collection, you know, like where they had 1 and 2, and I think it was Majora's Mask on that one. So if you had another collection, but say there was like 6 Zelda games on it, you could easily sell that for $100 and it would sell out.
Yeah, but they would never put 6 games on one game.
They
would never be so generous. Like,
I'm just
you
hypothetically
might get
saying
like
it.
You might get like
or like a collection series. Like it might be the Zelda Game Boy years or something, and they have it re-released on like one Switch cart. Like there's some stupid stuff that Nintendo could do to like just print money, and we would eat it up in a heartbeat.
I mean, I probably wouldn't buy a Zelda collection. I would buy that Mario collection if it came out. But if that Mario collection comes out, I'd say that, yeah, there's definitely a really good chance we get more Zelda in the same vein next year.
Did they ever, like, I know Metroid was supposed to be getting like a whole collection.
They're making a new...
They're supposed to do a trilogy or something remastered.
I mean, they already did that on Wii U, didn't they?
They did it on the Wii. They had the trilogy, and that's actually why that one's so expensive, because the Metroid Prime trilogy is only on the Wii right now. I want to say I've seen like pictures online for like pre-order, like kind of gearing up for it, but I don't think anything's been officially announced. We'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Nintendo, like I said, Nintendo can print money.
More money for the same stuff you've already bought a bunch of times.
Yeah, and Nintendo will keep doing it for many years as long as you let them bend you over.
But one thing you can't buy back is Mario's nipples, man. Those things are gone.
Mario's nipples are missing. So Luigi has to find it. Maybe they got lost in that time machine. So Nintendo, it seems, has removed Mario's nipples, and it's by Brian Ashcraft at Kotaku. And so I don't normally like put Kotaku articles here for us for whatever reason. We just don't get a lot of them. But I saw this. I was just looking up some Nintendo news the other day and saw this and was like, we got to talk about Mario's nipples.
I saw this picture earlier in the week, and it kind of tied into the idea of people being like, oh, another...
Yeah,
Mario Sunshine stuff?
But here's the thing. Yeah, it's a Mario Sunshine preview, but how are you going to know if Mario's cold if they've removed his nipples? Like,
it's a cold.
It's a cold. Yeah.
Mario doesn't get cold. You've seen him slide down those ice ramps and stuff.
No, I've seen whoa. Like, come on, dude. There's no nipples on Mario in that photo. Now, maybe it was just an honest mistake. Maybe the artist forgot to draw nipples. We don't know.
Well, he already basically has nipples on his overalls.
Those are buckles. Come on now.
But I mean, they're in a similar position. Like, seeing Mario with nipples, like, it wouldn't be strange. Like...
Well, in Odyssey, I think he had nipples. Yeah, he had nipples in Odyssey.
He's shirtless in Odyssey?
Yeah, you have to go to the beach.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's various... Dude, Odyssey's great. There's so many different, like... outfits that you can wear.
And I don't think I've ever seen Mario shirtless before.
Oh, I have, and it's quite the sight, Ryan. It's quite the sight. But now it doesn't matter. Even if we see him shirtless, we're not going to know. How are you going to know? I mean, that could just be like a skin-colored shirt. We'll never know nowadays, Ryan. So, yeah, so definitely check that out. Somebody actually, on that article that we'll link, somebody fixed it, and they drew like 2 little red circles on top of Mario's chest. And of course, the article like zooms in. They have like various pan-ins on Mario's chest. And yeah, so Mario's nipples are missing. That's your fun news for the week. Maybe Nintendo brings it back. Maybe Super Mario Sunshine. Maybe it's a teaser. Maybe that's the premise of the game now. Mario Sunshine 2. Find Mario's nipples. Okay, so all right, let's move into our inflation deflation challenge for the week. Outside of nipples, we are talking about Wolfchild. It was developed by Core Design, published by Core Design. The director was Jeremy Heath-Smith, and it was released in 1992. This was on the Amiga, the Super Nintendo, the Sega Genesis, and the Sega CD. So this is a platform-style game. And Ryan, what did you think overall?
So, Wolfchild, it was definitely...
Ryan's like gearing up. He's getting in the seat. He's all ready to go.
It was definitely a fun time. It reminds me a lot of the times that I have played Genesis before. Just at like I think it was the dentist's office had a Genesis. Like, I know this was like a multi-platform game, but for me it feels like right at home on here. I didn't have any trouble with the controls this time. I think maybe that's a keeper controller, John.
Yeah, I got to mark. I got to start putting a sticker on these things: green for good, red for fix, not throw away, fix.
But it was pretty good. Like we were saying earlier, we got through the first 2.5 levels. It's got enough interesting design. Like the first level was really short, but it's like you're on an airship, and that's cool. Your dude looks like a totally badass, like 80s biker kind of guy who transforms into a wolf man and punches like
a Wolfchild, sir.
Punches like Hadoukens or something out, and
later on you can get 3 Hadoukens.
3 Hadoukens, triple
Hadouk, yeah.
I don't know. There's not a whole lot to say about it. It's pretty generic, like platforming and punching or shooting, depending on if you're in wolf form or not.
There's armors and stuff like force fields that you can put around you.
Yeah, like the power-ups and enemy placement is all pretty fair, but also not just like a walk through the park. Like
there's some challenge for sure.
Yeah, in that last level that we were on, it's the third level with all the bugs and stuff that are falling down and coming up through the ground and stuff. Like you kind of have to move at kind of a slow pace to stay safe in some of these parts, and it's a little weird, the physics in this game. Like when you're going up a slope, like your dude's like really huffing and puffing to get up that slope, and then as soon as you're on the backslide, you are like going down a butter slick
or an ice slide like Mario.
Yeah, I don't know, it's not the best, it's not the worst. Did you already talk about the ratings for it?
No, not yet. So I was going to get into my part, and I'll talk about the ratings here.
Okay.
So, you put WTF. I'm like, what is that supposed to be? So the Amiga version got a 905 out of 1,000 from Ace Magazine. So I don't know where Ace Magazine is today.
The weirdest rating scale ever. 1,000-point scale.
That's actually kind of interesting. We should do 1,000-point scales. You know what? It should be a scale to 9,000. And then if it's over 9,000, it's certainly well worth the money. But yeah, so overall this game got like 5 out of 10s for the most part. But on the back of the box.
Except on the back of the box.
Yeah, what does it have on there?
On the back of the box, GamePro gave it a 4.5.
Yeah, that
like across the board.
Maybe it was a 4.5 out of 10
on their tough 5-point scale.
It does it say 5-point scale?
Yeah, it says Wolfchild. Or here's why GamePro magazine rated Wolfchild a straight 4.5 on its tough 5-point scale.
Oh, I was kind of hoping it would just say like the 4.5 on there with nothing else, and then it's like it was actually a 4.5 out of 10.
Yeah,
that would have been pretty funny.
It's definitely not a 900 out of 1,000,
but it could be a 905
a 4.5 out of 10. I don't see it being that much better than a 5. Like if I was feeling generous, I guess I'd say like a 6.
Yeah.
Like visually, it looks great. Like the sound effects are there, the controls were fine. But
a little too spot on, actually.
Yeah, there was just some things about it that hold it back from feeling like, that really
it feels
good
stiff.
Game feel.
You feel a little stiff while you're playing as that character. There's not a lot of flexibility coming from him. So I would say personally, like a 7 out of 10 is what I would be giving this game. But I liked it
It's probably
too,
just
man.
not that long. Like we got through 3 levels, or 2.5 levels, pretty quick.
Yeah.
Give us another hour at this and it would be done.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I
don't see there being a lot of replay to it.
I don't know. I mean, there's only 5 levels in the game. If it gets to a point like with any platformer, you learn the surroundings, you learn how to get past certain things pretty easily. And I think we could blaze through his first 2 levels, no issue, get to the third, and we'd be okay after a while. It's a platformer. That's just how they work. And I liked it, dude. Overall, it was pretty, outside of the stiffness of your character jumping and whatnot, and some of that delay at times. If I wanted to make a certain jump, sometimes it just kind of rolled off the edge just because I didn't jump in time. So there was a little bit of a delay on that, but I thought it was pretty cool. The overall premise is not bad. You're only really in wolf mode when you hit full HP, and you can get your Hadouken gun thing, whatever it is. I don't know. It's probably in a book.
He's punching out, and it looks like a magical fist. Yeah. Or something.
Yeah, so whatever he's shooting, we didn't really look at the book beforehand for controls, but that was pretty cool. And then obviously when you get the triple one, that's pretty sweet as well. But
I never even got that.
I got it twice, and I got hit, and it was gone right away. It's just one of those things that Yep. Okay, cool. You're using it. Oh, you got hit by a random enemy out of the ground or some random ass thing that came out of nowhere. It's gone now. So I would say that was a lot of fun. The difficulty spike was really interesting because those first two levels.
Level 3 stepped it up.
Yeah,
level 1 and 2 were easy.
Yeah, and level 3, like after my second go around, I got through it pretty fast. Towards that, end that you were at. And it wasn't that bad. After a while, you kind of learn what the bugs do, where certain enemies are, how far you need to be from an enemy. So it wasn't like a walk in the park, but at the same time, it's not like the most difficult thing ever. So super easy to beat. So if you got this game and you haven't played it yet, definitely check it out.
Let's talk numbers, John.
Yeah, numbers.
Hard numbers. So the most expensive version of this game is $58.21 for the Genesis complete in box,
which I have a complete in box Genesis version.
And the cheapest version is $13.44, and that's for the loose PAL Mega Drive.
Does not surprise me. You know what does surprise me, man, is that the Sega CD version is not higher.
I don't know.
It's it's just one of those things that like Sega CD I envision would just be a higher price game just because of what it is. But
I mean, maybe it's just based on how many people are buying it for that system. Maybe it's just easier to buy it for another system.
Yeah, maybe.
But we played the complete inbox Genesis version going for $58.21. That peaked at $69.99 back in October 2016.
That's about when I got it, actually.
And that's kind of going down now. And the loose is 2022. That peaked at $21.31 just back in June. And that's kind of holding. That's kind of always been in that $20 range. The one thing I will say about this, the Genesis has a kick-ass box. I love this. Like, it's like a wolf eating the logo, and he's like super fierce. Like, this is a sweet box. Like, I know you're only going to be looking at the spine, and the spine isn't really that great.
Depends on how I'm going to display it.
But the cover's nice.
So that's actually what caught my attention on that game. So I actually got it before 2016 when I worked at the game store. This one came in. Of course, I always got heavy discounts on stuff. And that was just one game that I saw them like, you know what? This is a weird-ass case. It's probably worth something. And, of course, it was a platformer, so I immediately knew at that point it might be worth a little something. And when I picked it up, it was probably sitting at complete in box. I want to say it was like in the 40s. If I recall, somewhere around that range. But I have always noticed that for some strange reason, complete in box Genesis games are always so much higher than a cart only. And I don't know what it like Super Nintendo.
Well, they have like really substantial boxes.
Well, yeah, and that's what's interesting though, is like Super Nintendo, their carts are always much higher for some strange reason. Like in this case, I don't know if we looked up a loose cart for Super Nintendo versus a loose copy of the Genesis, but for some strange reason, like loose SNES carts are always, for the most part, much higher than loose Genesis, and I just always have found that interesting.
$15 loose on
$15.
SNES.
Yeah, it's weird. So yeah, I don't know, that one kind of disproves me right there, but it's always been a trend that I've noticed, like loose SNES carts for some reason, whenever I see them in the wild, are always more expensive than a loose Genesis cart.
I think that maybe it's like one of those
it could just be based on the game too.
Well, it could be like, if it depends on where you're buying it from. If you're buying it from somebody who doesn't know anything, they're probably going to be like, oh, this is Nintendo, it must be worth a lot of money because Nintendo's an old thing. And if they don't know much more than that, what else are they going to know? They might see a Genesis game and be like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, well, you have the Nintendo effect tied to it, but then there's also the piece of superiority in terms of how it was made too. So that game that we played, which Spider-Man was it? I forgot, but we played like the Genesis version, and
I think that was Arcade's Revenge.
Yeah. I think we played the SNES version, which was like the better version, I think, and the Genesis version I think sucked. So that was obviously a game where the SNES version would be worth a lot more just because it was a better produced item. This could be a similar situation. Maybe the SNES version is just crap and this is a superior version, and that's why it's more.
I mean, I guess that Amiga version, though, man.
Oh, yeah. I mean, a 905 out of 1,000. I mean, that's got to be the best game ever.
Right?
Come on. Like, how many reviews do you have to get 905? So, okay. So, overall, man, we're looking at... let's rate this on... Let's just do a loose copy rating. Because complete in box, I know, is going to be inflated for us. Are you looking to pay that much for that, short of a game? Probably not.
No.
Inflated on the complete in box. But let's look at it from a loose standpoint. The game overall is $20. an adequate price point for this game, given its length, given what we play and the fun that we had with it, and the 905 out of 1,000 rating.
I mean, I'm going to kind of cop out a little bit here and say that, you know, collecting games is always based on who you are. Like, if you're just somebody who wants to own every game, I think you could sit out this one and be fine. But if you're somebody who's like, I need all the Genesis games, or I need all of the games that have Wolf in the title, or
That's
you
a
don't
weird one.
have any games on your shelf that are W, and you don't like Wario, so you need a W to put in your alphabetical order, like, this would be a title you could do that with. I think that...
But would you pay $20 for it?
I think that some people would pay $20 for it, and I wouldn't feel like they made a mistake.
Okay.
But there's no way that I would pay more than, like, I don't know, like $12 for this game. I just, for one time sitting down, like maybe 2.5 hours of playing it, and then you're never going to play it again. Like, yeah, the cover looks cool, but that's the complete in-box version.
Yeah, I mean,
and I feel like...
the case and book alone are worth more than the game.
Yeah, I think I would rather buy the empty box
So the empty box
for
is
$20
priced just
than
right.
the game for $20.
So, man, I always got to compare this to like next gen digital games that come out that are like sitting at $15-20 and how much time you get to play those. So, you know, if I were to pick up Wolfchild nowadays, a digital copy, no, I wouldn't be paying $20. But if it's a physical copy and you don't have it, you know, $20 is...
It's
I
not
would
a
say
rip-off price,
no,
but it
it's
hurts.
not.
It hurts. It's definitely
yeah.
$5 more than you want to pay.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, do I want to buy it for 20? Yeah, it's not. It's worth it. I think it's worth it. I think that's priced right.
It's showing that it's held its value at the $20 mark,
Yeah.
too. You could probably, and you know, that's an aggregate price, so you can definitely buy this for less than $20. That's just the average.
Yeah, exactly. So $20, it's worth it. I think that's priced right. I think it's just right on the price scale. Now, if you found it at $15, buy it. Like, it's a good game. It's not bad.
I'd say...
And it's the cost of a movie ticket. Come
I'd
on.
say 20, but you get some change back. Like, I would pay a $20 bill and get some amount of change back
2 pennies.
and be fine. Yeah, it's some change.
2
Just
pennies.
something else to go in my pocket.
$20 and you take 2 pennies from the little tray at the counter.
Yeah, there we
Yeah,
go.
There you go.
It's $20.02. I'm going to use these 2 pennies.
There you go. Yeah, so I definitely think, let's just say this one's just right on the price scale.
Reluctantly just right.
Reluctantly just right. God, man, it hurts. Like, it really does. Like, you did bring up a good point. Like, if I was at the store and I saw this for $20, I'd be like, man, I really want it. I don't want to pay $20, but I really want it. Okay, I'll pay $20. Like, I don't want to, but I'll do it.
But you would have to be one of those people that really wanted it. If you're just like some guy and you're at a store and you're like, I got $20 to blow on a Genesis game, I wouldn't pick this one. There's probably much better $20 Genesis games you could buy.
It depends on what you're buying. It depends on what's available. Like, if this is one of the better games, it's a platformer. Like, platformers are fun. I enjoy them.
It was fun.
Yeah. So, okay. That's what we're at for this week. We forgot to pick a flipping game for next week. Oh, no. Hold on.
We've been sitting on one for like weeks.
No, sir.
Right?
We've got Danica and a Next to Nothing podcast coming on next week. So I know,
and I won't be here.
Yeah, you won't be here. So that's a forewarning for people that Danica doesn't notice yet, but he's going to be attempting Ryan's intro because he has no choice as being a guest. So if you're hearing this episode, sir, before
Prepare
you hop
yourself. I will be judging.
Yeah, he will be judging. I do have to find a game for us to play. I think those guys are big PC gamers. So
You should do something that was cross-platform with PC then.
yeah, I got to find something. Well, I mean, what isn't nowadays? I'll find something. I'll figure it out. I'll send them a message, see what kind of game they're interested in playing. Hell, maybe I play Splatterhouse on the TurboGrafx. See how that goes. I don't want to hook that up again. Okay, well, for everyone listening, of course, catch us on those awesome podcast applications out there. So Podcast Addict, Apple Podcast, iTunes, Spotify, Podbean.
6-star reviews.
6-star reviews or 2 5-star reviews, whichever one you can. And yeah, so that's that. And of course, find us on social media. Facebook at The Game Deflators, Instagram at The Game Deflators, and
TheGameDeflators.com.
TheGameDeflators.com, and Twitter at Game Deflators. So follow us, like us, subscribe. And this has been episode 93 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name's John.
I'm Ryan.
And thanks for listening.